Welcome back to Bit of Mafia Pods. We're your hosts. I'm Rob.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ryan.
Yes, before we start, we'd like to welcome our full-time host now, instead of the part-time host, Ryan Kropp. How are you, mate?
Good, guys, good. I appreciate the extended invite. Excited about this.
Aboard, son.
We are so happy to have you on board.
Brilliant.
No, it's good. It's good. I got a good feeling. Good feeling about times ahead.
Good man, hilarious. Excited to see your perspective on everything.
Yes. Yeah, no, if we can raise some questions about different things, and we're doing the right thing.
Political views on things at some point.
Before we get started, I'd just like to thank our hosts, Jericho and Dirty Tricks, for being on board for so long now. It's been fantastic. And tonight's episode, we're at episode 12, and our subject tonight is the season that wasn't. And that is about all our teams. We become vastly different on the ladder, and we have a couple of different codes as well to talk about.
All disappointing in their own right.
Yes. It's not a happy one.
No. Maybe
I thought I was
going
to get away from talking about my team after the regular season. I'll put that behind me now. And popped up as a episode idea. I thought, great.
How good.
Yeah.
It's a catharsis, get it all out there.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but the NRL, last 4 or 5 years, I'd say. Probably longer than that, since 2015. So for anyone out there who doesn't know, my main football code is the NRL. I do watch AFL more so than regular diehard NRL fans, but NRL was what I grew up watching. And well done, mate. Well done.
Not many NRL follow AFL.
It's actually been enjoyable. Every time the finals come around, I always seem to find myself. I think it's because of the fact footy's coming to an end for the season. It's like I want to watch as much as competitive finals footy as I can.
Yep.
And there's been some good finals games actually. Despite my team not being there, or the team that I would follow in the NFL not being there, it's actually been some good games. So, but yeah, as if anyone doesn't know, or if anyone is aware, I follow the Cowboys in the NRL, and the last round of the regular season game, we were sitting 9th, and if we had won that, we would have snuck into the 8th, and we got convincingly beaten, slipped us down to 11, and that is the season. That is where we finished off, which I can't remember. My memory sort of is pipping a bit, but I feel like we missed out on the finals last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah.
I thought you did all right last year. I can't remember now.
Yeah, no, maybe we didn't. Maybe we might have just snuck into the 8, but
yeah,
it was one of those. It was one of those seasons where, when we started off, we started the first, say, 5 to 6 weeks. It might have been 3 wins and 3 losses. It was okay, and then rolling in towards halfway through the season, we strung, I think, 4 or 5 wins in a row together, and convincing wins as well. And your Sunday football programs and your NRL talk shows and stuff that there was talk about the Cowboys possibly going all the way, because you had certain experts in the game. I'll say experts, but I use that term lightly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Saying, I've been watching the boys for the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I'll tell you what, if they keep this up, they can go all the way. And then all of a sudden, we were in the 8. I think we were coming 5th at one stage. Then we got kicked out of it, and then all of a sudden, we needed to win the last game of the regular season, and It just didn't happen. It was. It's more annoying than anything because I'm like, where was that performance like halfway through the year when we were winning? I mean, it's not as if we got like hit with serious injuries either. It's just one of them things that footy.
Oh, yeah.
I love about that story, being a massive cynic as I am, is that the team strings you along all the way to the end and gives you that final shred of hope to make the finals, just to roll over and get flogged in the last game.
Yeah.
Something with that resonates with me, you know, as being a fucking massive cynical footy supporter. It's just, you know, I get it.
Yeah,
I understand the frustration of one good win, 2 bad games, 1 good game, 2 bad games, and then it's like my team, we've lived the whole thing where it's like, are we going to sack our coach? No, but he's just come good. And then we sign him again, it's like, but now he's poxy again. We're going to spend the next 2 years with the poxy coach.
Oh my
But,
God!
well,
You know,
he's coming up to his signature, so he's good again. The whole team is just a fucking massive.
It's frustrating because like since that grand final win back in 2015 that we had, which by the way is their first ever grand final win.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't. Since then, we haven't been terrible. We've 2 years after that, we went back to the grand final and got beaten by Melbourne. And then after that, finals footy would roll around and we'd always sort of be there in the mix. And then the last couple of years, you know, you have that good period through, you know, the halfway mark sort of onwards where, you know, you look like you could take on any team in the comp. And then I don't know what changes. You just get demolished. Sometimes by like, I think the biggest thing was like when we were having that dominant period, we got a couple of weeks after that. Our first loss was to West Tigers, which were actually coming second last at the time. They beat us 72 to like 28 or something.
Holy shit!
Granted, we came back 3 weeks later and versed them, and we beat them 74 to 0. Like it comes back around, but you shouldn't have those scores. Like in NRL, you should not have those scores, regardless of how crap the worst team in the comp is. Like, it was hard to watch. Like where it went wrong, I don't know. It just like after that good run we had, it just looked like that. Every time we got the ball, we didn't even look threatening. It just every time the opposition got the ball, it was like we had massive holes in our defence all game, just leaking points. You had errors, careless penalties. Yeah, just one of those things that the season slowly fell apart, and it fell apart from a high standard too because we were going so well for so long. But that was the year as an NRL fan.
For sure.
Leave Matt's to last because his team kind of went better than our team. But the start of the year for me was I wasn't expecting much, but I was expecting a lot more than what we dished up. But at the start of the year, we had, as an Eagles fan, we had everyone was on the park, like everyone was training, everyone was in pre-season. We haven't done that for a long time. Like, even Nick Nat was ready to go. And then just before the season started, there was a mystery fucking injury to Nick Nat, which now we know was his Achilles. And they're like, he should be back by round 10 at the latest. So everyone's like, yeah, no worries. First 2 rounds, like we come out and we played like really good footy, and it's like, here we go. Like season like this year's might be looking good. And then round 3 came along, and that was the derby, and it's going to go down in history as the demolition derby because we had 7 injuries in that game. They were to major players. Yeah, that's were major players, and they were long-term injuries as well. And it was just like downhill from there. We kind of tried to fight back, but after round 10, it was just like that. Whatever they tried to do, because they kept trying to stick to the same game plan. It just wasn't like for the people they had on the park. It was like young kids. They couldn't do it. They couldn't keep up the pace. So they ended up having to strip the whole game back and go back to the old way of playing, where they still did try to they just still did try to get the new game plan going and all that sort of stuff. But we're out there and they were trying to try and play the new game plan, but like AFL is a fast paced game, so you get caught and not that smart about the game. I'm not saying these kids aren't smart, but they're not AFL smart. Like
Game
AFL
plan
ready.
smart too.
Game plan smart, yeah. So you can easily
I've
get
seen
caught
heaps
off
of them
guard.
say between your top level under 18s and your AFL is like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, that's right.
Game plan wise.
So yeah, then that's when the big scores started coming up against us. Like the worst one was Sydney. That was disgusting.
Yeah, that one
That
was
was like the biggest
that
score.
one,
But I've never seen a season.
Was that your biggest loss ever?
I
For West Coast? It would be
think it was.
pretty
Yeah, I think
close,
it was
yeah.
Yeah, it was. It
I
was.
could
our
imagine you
It
guys
was
being
our biggest loss.
flogged like
was,
that.
Yeah. Like, this
before.
season has been like horrendous. I've never seen a season like this in like my time of watching football. Like it's been unbelievable.
So, talking about West Coast, like it's nuts. Like I talked to my stepson about he's just getting interested in footy. So
Yeah.
in his mind, West Coast are fucking poxy as hell. I'm like, but you don't realise like he talks about who the best teams are. He's like he wants to compare everything all the time, stats and blah blah blah. I'm like, I talk in AFL 1990 onwards because I don't count the other shit.
Yeah.
I'm like you realise like West Coast is probably in the top 3 best teams in the
well, they are,
AFL
though.
history.
Yeah.
It's like they've spent half a dozen years in their 30 odd years outside of the finals. They've won 4 flags. Like
Yeah.
it's they're a fucking unbelievable team. They're a powerhouse normally.
And
Just
they don't
hitting a
take-
dip that was unprecedented.
They don't take long to rebuild, but I don't think this one's going to be like the last ones. I feel like this one's going to be a lot longer than the last
they've
few.
They've definitely hit a lower low this time. I think.
Yeah. The standards have dropped. Like I know, like I can't stand fucking Kane Corlins. He's an absolute fucking spud. But
Yeah, he's a cock.
he is right when he says about the standards at the club. Like they really have dropped off. Like they've just let things slide too long now, and like some players were just too like they weren't AFL fit. And my theory was during the year was they tried to come back too hard. Like they all come back fit as fuck. Like they looked fit, but I don't think they really were fit. I think they just they busted their ass in the off season to get fucking fit and strong. And by the time the season started rolling through, they're just like fucked. Like they're getting injuries, they're getting tired.
That's the other
they
side of
couldn't
the
run out
sword,
games.
though. West Coast has been, as some certain players have been criticised in the past for not coming back in shape.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the sword. Like it's a double-edged sword. So you're damned if you do, damned if
Look
you
at
don't.
Jeremy McGovern every year.
He's the main culprit. He's the one that's been copping it. But his best years were the years he came back fat.
Yeah, that's right. He was such a
He come back
needs
a
that
tub of
fucking-
lard
he needs
and
that
then
weight.
fucking and then make all Australian.
Yeah, that's right.
What the fuck's the difference? Like, it's all good to fucking give him shit at the start of the season. Rate is here at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's
hell.
right.
Some blokes just aren't naturally fit. They go away, they blow up, and come back and work hard. That's just the way it is.
Oh, you look at
Fucking
him
hell,
this
name
year.
half
He
a dozen
like
of them, mate. Fucking hell, Tom Rockley.
he got so many injuries this year because he like come back and I don't know. The guy must have really soft ribs because every time he lands, he looks like he's broke a rib or something. So, like,
Soft rib syndrome.
yeah,
Sorry, been overcooked.
but we know how the season's rolled out there, and I could not wait for that last game. It's just put us out of our misery, please. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose the only shining light that you blokes had was probably the last 4 or 5 games. There was a yelp there. There was something.
Yeah, well, the game against the Bulldogs, that was fucking terrific. Like that was they played with a lot of heart in that game, and like they played for Simo. They pretty much played for Simo's job. But I personally don't think it's hard to say because you don't know what they're talking about inside the club and that. But I still think the 2-year deal still left on the table would have been a bit costly for him because there was no coaches. There was no ready-made coaches like to go around that time. So you'd be paying off his contract, plus trying to get a decent coach, which you probably wouldn't for the money we're paying.
You'd just be filling the gap.
Yeah.
You might as well fill it with the coach you got.
You can guarantee that they're still playing shit. Like things are still going shit midway through the next season. I think he'll be walking out the door because they'll be like, "No, we can't keep doing this."
But I suppose that's where they're at though, and they did have the 2-year deal to think about, and it's a lot of money, and it comes out of the soft cap now, and in their mind they'd be thinking, well, if it's still going this bad next year, he might walk, we might say nah, but at the end of the day, there's no other coaches around that we know that are any good. We still know that he can coach.
Well, that's right.
He may have had this might be a bad period, but he's coached us to a premiership. Like,
yeah, exactly right.
They don't grow on trees.
Yeah. And I feel like, because everyone's talking about now North Melbourne got these compensation picks, which aren't really that great, but it's going to help them because apparently the AFL isn't going to give them pick 3 for that Mackay, which I don't think they should.
It's supposed to be dependent on what he's getting picked up for, what he's going to get paid to the next place.
It's what Essendon are willing to do. Because Essendon said they're not willing to give up their first round pick. They're willing to trade for him.
Yeah.
So they've given them these compensation picks, which everyone's saying now what they're going to do is they're going to try and package up these compensation picks to Gold Coast. Because Gold Coast are going to get their number 1 pick anyway, no matter what. Give them to Gold Coast so they've got like end of first round this draft and then 2 end of first rounds next draft.
Yeah.
For their pick 4 or 5, whatever it is.
Okay.
So it'll be pick 5 by the time North Melbourne get it because they'd take his name, Jed Walters' link at pick 4. So they'll have pick 2 and 5 in the draft. It's not too bad.
Yeah, and it's not too bad, but it's not killing other teams either. Which I think it's about right. Like, if there's compensation, I fucking hate it when they give like a early round, first round pick.
Yeah,
but don't fuck with the top 18 picks. Like, they should be always sacrosanct. You never touch them.
Yeah,
like, that's just
right.
Fucking with the fucking standards of the game. Like, why do we have equalisation if it's not going to be there? The first 18 picks, like, if you can't get it right from getting a fucking pick 19 and 20 given to you on top of all your other picks, then there's something wrong with your footy department. It's got nothing to do with the fucking picks. You'd fuck up pick 1.
Well, I agree with what this guy said today. He was saying about North Melbourne. He said instead of giving them picks, why don't you ease the soft cap on them and fucking so that they can pay for a better development coach. They can pay for some better coaching staff to come on board. Alistair Clarkson isn't gonna just fix everything.
No, not by himself, not at all. It took him ages at Hawthorn, and it took him heaps of jostling to get the right people in places. And you saw once he did get the system in place, what that did. It filters coaches through the entire system. How many assistant coaches did he turn into premiership coaches?
Yeah, that's right. There's like, what we got? Fucking...
I'll tell you what, they all came from Mark Williams, though. They all came from Choco. Alistair Clarkson was Choco's assistant.
Oh, yeah, he was too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He was there when our premiership.
Yeah, I know, right? Lethal
Man,
Lee.
I love Lee Matthews.
Yeah.
I love Lethal. He was fucking not just one of the greatest coaches, but I'd love to have seen him play properly. I've only seen highlights.
God. Yeah.
Well, did he fucking, was it Brisbane Lions? Did they have 3 in a row or they were going for 3 in a row with him?
They had 3 in a row and they were going for 4.
They were going for 4 in a row, weren't they? Yeah, I remember that game. They got done.
Yeah, 50 points to Port.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's right. You Port Adelaide.
I know. I remember the game.
Working down, mate.
Going well, thanks yourself.
I still haven't seen that game, the fucking 2004 grand final. Even though we had a grand final day at my house, and I was standing there cooking a barbecue, and my sister comes running through the fucking back fence, saying, "I've just been in a car accident." What the fuck?
That's right, yeah.
She's like, "This, I've just made this car roll on its roof, and these people chasing me." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Wait till the food's done.
Running down the street, running down the street with all this marinade on my hands, like, what's going on?
Imagine trying to catch someone. It's like, it's the greased up deaf guy or whatever.
Lucky you didn't have like a fucking something heaps salty all over your hands. Cops pulled you over, you'd be done for assault. Cut that cunt.
My stupid mouse.
I'll tell you though, lethal. Yes. On Lee Matthews, I never got to see him play besides the highlights, and the one that keeps coming up is the one where he actually got done for assault for breaking. Was it Neville Bruns' jaw? He was nuts. It was 40 metres off the ball, and he's come through and fucking elbowed him in the cheek. Like, I think it was fair enough. He was a bit dirty on it because he's like, I think what happens on the field stays on the field. So you try that today, mate, you get locked up.
Yeah. Probably never play again.
No, you never play again. You'd be banned forever. But anyway, he had. I'm a stats man, so it's trawling through the stats, and because he's a lot of people that were before my time say he's the greatest player that they've ever seen, etc. I found one game of his. I can't remember the year. I've got it saved on my phone somewhere. They had his whole game stats. He had over 40 touches and kicked 11 goals from the midfield.
Jesus.
Like, it's unbelievable. Like,
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Like, they consider 30 and 3 is like the triple double in basketball. It's like the game. 30 and 3, that's 40 and 11. That's like
30 and 3.
that's unheard of.
30 and 3 in basketball. Like, when I first started getting into stats about 30 and like those type of stats, I didn't know what they meant. I was like, but then I was, out of all places, reading the form guide on Sportsbet, different markets and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what that means. And then you start watching games, especially like halftime stats, like during like the NRL don't have a stat like that, but I don't know, as the AFL do, and you do start paying attention to like halftime stats or full time stats, and I was like, that's unreal. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the equivalent to having a forward. I think one of our forwards actually clocked up one of the most meters in the season, which was 298 run meters in a 60-minute period that he was on for, which is
shit.
I don't know,
That's huge, man.
Yeah, but then you look at like hearing those stats about fucking old Lethal. That's impressive.
Oh, there was a gun. Apparently, there was a gun.
He looked like a madman too when he was younger.
Oh yeah. Even when he was coaching, when he was a bit younger, he was a fiery character, like a real white line fever kind of human.
Yep.
Acker will tell you all about it.
Oh, I can notice.
I remember he'd go in
I
after he's
think
doing
him
his
and Lethal
handstands.
saw eye to eye very much.
Yeah. Stop doing your fucking handstands, cunt.
Fuck, he could play footy though, that cunt.
Oh, get goals from anywhere.
Fucking
That
hell.
bloke.
Oh my god. I'm not sure I've seen a player quite as good on both sides of their body as him. Sam Mitchell maybe, but not as flary.
I remember Brisbane played us once, and Braun was just running him all over the field. And after the game, like a week during that week, he wanted Braun to get drug tested because he's like, "Oh, he was just running me all over the field. I couldn't keep up."
Who is that? Mitchell or Acker?
Acker.
Acker, yeah.
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 He just doesn't like getting beat.
Nah. He just didn't like. He didn't like people not paying him attention. To be completely fair, I remember him having a fucking crack at Jimmy Steins because everyone was, when he died, everyone was coming out saying how nice a bloke he was, and he came out saying like, "Oh, I met him a few times. Don't know who's that good a bloke." It's like, just let people have it, man. He's dead. Like, fucking,
Good hell.
what's it got to do with you? Who cares? Who cares whether he fucking fucked up a couple of times? Everyone has. Who gives a shit? People are remembering his memory, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And bring up every little thing because he's fucking dead and you're jealous.
Yeah.
He's a peanut. Good play, but dickhead.
Most of them are.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the good ones.
Right, do we want to get on to Port Adelaide? Oh, yes. Here we go.
Still.
Yeah. How can we summarise this fucking season? I fucking went early. But I'll know for next time. But I'll tell you what, this season can be summarised in one word. Disappointing. Which is a pretty mediocre word, but it's there's so much hope and promise. I mean, we started like dog shit. Won the first game, lost the next two, won 13 in a row. Looked pretty fucking good at times, but when you look back, I mean, we only won. There was a lot of those we were lucky to win. A lot of very, very close games there. We had a very low percentage when heading into finals, but the part that I'd say we were really gritty in a lot of the wins, and all our younger midfielders all stood up when we needed. All our superstars stood up when we needed them most. And then when we headed into the finals, that's the one thing that we didn't see. So our two disappointing finals losses, our young superstars just died. They just were not there.
Yeah.
They looked overawed, they looked scared, they looked fucking like the occasion had gotten the better of them. I don't know, it's just really disappointing. And I don't know, especially the second game, the game against GWS, coaching-wise, there's a lot of things I would have done different. I ain't no coach, but it's a lot of really weird decisions, not just in the game, but in the lead-up to the game, playing injured players.
Yeah.
The sub was a weird choice because, I mean, there was Jeremy Finlayson's he's a key forward. You're only ever going to replace him with another key player, another tool.
Yeah.
So you gave away any sort of element of surprise. If we had have gotten another small injured in the first couple of quarters, we would have been absolutely fucked, more than we even were. Midfield just didn't work, and then they refused to play Travis Boak in the middle, even though he was the only one that looked like he was going to actually do anything.
Yeah.
The end of the season was just really sour. Probably the last 8 weeks, really, because we lost 4 games in a row after the 13 wins, and then scrounged together a couple of wins before the end of the season. It was just a really weird feel going in, I suppose. Like, I didn't know what to expect. We won the 2 games at the end of the season that we were meant to win, and then
because I said the exact same thing to Sam. I think I was watching this guy and he's talking about the power, and he's like, he's talking about why do the power go so hard during the season, especially mid-season. They always go fucking hard, and then by the time they get to the end of the year, they're fucked. Like they've got injuries, they're fatigued, they're just like completely fucked. It's like they don't know how to balance the. They're like, yeah, you got to be ferocious because you can't take your foot off the pedal, but you also got to balance that part, not just kind of keep going. And like you said, there was so many games there where you would like just winning by a couple of points, like, and that was like in the final seconds as well, final minutes of the game. And those type of games, like a couple of them during the year is okay, but when you're having a few of them, it really does take a lot out of you as a player.
Absolutely. I reckon the answer to that bloke's question is in that. By the way, I think, especially in years gone by, because we've never coasted to top 2, top 4. We've always been in the mix.
Yeah.
Even the times where we have made top 4, we've always been in the mix. So we didn't have the luxury of resting 1 or 2 here and doing that. And I think because we were so high up this year, we were second, we sort of fucked with that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we lost those 4 games in a row, and it kind of derailed our season, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, we had a couple of injuries, but we sort of fucked with our formula a little bit.
Yeah.
Player-wise, and it sort of messed with the whole thing we had one big loss, then it was like, oh, fuck, and then it plummeted from there.
Yeah.
But like, in seasons gone by, because we've lost the games that we shouldn't have lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been real bad for that. We've been real bad for fucking losing to teams that we shouldn't lose to, and losing games at really bad times when we could capitalise our position. We're always in the fight.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to plan for anything beyond the next week.
Yeah.
You watch Geelong last year, like they coasted so bad, like, and they've done this many times in their dominant seasons.
Yeah.
Where they've got themselves, they've worked really hard for 12 weeks, got themselves in a dominant position, not let those games slip, and then managed players in through the back half of the season.
Yeah.
And launched at the finals.
Yeah.
That is just, I don't know. Their organisation is unreal. Like I hold them at the highest pinnacle of sporting organisation. Their club as a whole is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like top to bottom, they know exactly what they're doing. They're all pulling in the right direction.
Yeah. No, that's right. This year I was like so adamant that like no matter who plays Collingwood in the grand final, Collingwood are going to win.
Yeah.
But I've been watching Brisbane a bit lately, and fucking they look good.
Yeah.
Like they practically won that game the other day without any of their forwards firing. Like their forward line was so shit.
Which has been the biggest
Man,
knock-on
that
for
was.
years.
That game, man. I thought that game was over after the first quarter.
Yeah, I thought if Carlton keep going like this, I thought I legit like when we were messaging each other and we were saying they look flat. They really did look flat.
Yeah,
like I thought another quarter like that, and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming back.
Yeah, their midfield
Carlton
dragged
came
them
there
out
to
of it.
play, but Carlton obviously went way too hard in that first quarter because after that they weren't to be seen
They
again.
were flat. Like they look at the roles reversed after half time. They
Yeah.
looked no run, no nothing.
No,
But they're fucking
they had-
Brisbane's midfield dragged them out of that hole.
Oh,
They stepped up after that first quarter and brought them home.
they're one of those good teams that even though they're like they could be losing on the scoreboard, you just know they're going to win. Like you just like nah. After halftime or after this quarter, they'll kick a few and they'll be right back in it and they'll win for me.
They can score quickly, which helps them. Especially when the forwards are on. The forwards weren't on, but they've got that forward line mix now that if they do fire, they're fucking hard to stop. They've got heaps of firepower.
Yeah. Well,
Their biggest knock over the last 5 years is that their forwards don't.
Yeah.
Their forward system doesn't work.
Yeah.
But they seem to have found a much better mix this year. The biggest test for them is going to be winning outside of Brisbane.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the big things I miss about the Eagles with Nick Nat and that, like 2018 Eagles, like within a 5-minute period they can bury teams because they just destroy teams in like 5 minutes. That's all it took them.
Yeah.
And they just with Nick Nat in the middle, he was just too dominant for other rucks. And even if he didn't win the ruck, he'd be winning on the fucking ground.
that was his biggest asset that got overlooked, man.
Yep. Oh, bloody oath.
He would have been top 3 or 4 players every year in the Eagles when he played every game for tackles. And they would not have fucking
easy.
that stat. They would have pointed to the fact that he didn't mark the ball as much as other ruckmen, but I guarantee he fucking tackled twice as much.
Yeah, he tackled and
And he didn't just tackle blokes, like he fucking tackled blokes, like
he killed him. He
big
buried
man,
him.
and he would hurt them.
I remember that one on Amon. Fucking like, oh my god,
was
you
hardcore,
killed
man.
the kid.
Absolutely, it
Hell.
looked like a man tackling a child. I fucking...
You could have heard that poor boy.
And even then, like, his technique was pretty good. He was pretty unlucky to get suspended for that, to be fair.
Yeah, he did turn him, but it just did.
It
Looked bad because
It
how
looked
big
worse.
he
He
is.
was a 6'9" bloke tackling a bloke my size, so
Yeah.
it just didn't look very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, on Geelong again, like they are a class act, that team. They just don't look like they're ever going to bottom out. Like
No,
they didn't make the finals this year, did they? No,
they didn't.
No, they didn't.
But they look fucking
No,
dangerous
but-
still, all the way to the end.
Yeah. You can
They still
guarantee they
look
won't end up
dangerous.
bottom in the next couple of years because they'll
They,
find a way to be able to
They will. That's what they do.
Regenerate the group.
They had a few injuries this year compared to last year. They had a nice run last year, which they needed to with the way they recruited. I loved the way they recruited a couple of years back. It was like, they're too old and they're recruiting to them. Like, they're recruiting to win a flag.
That's exactly what they did. Yeah.
Every team gets so stuck in recruiting for the future that it's like, your supporters actually need something now at some point. But they still want you to win a flag. That's the whole point of it. I love that they went, fuck it, we will try and win a flag right this second. You know what, we got an old this, but they're all guns.
Mm-hmm. I like how they, as much as I don't like the deal that, it is better. It's good for us now with Tim Kelly, but I didn't like how much we gave up in that trade. Yeah. But that's one thing I appreciated about fucking Geelong is they weren't just going to let him go for nothing. They're like, we want all this, and they're still the same. Even that fucking radical ear guy. Yeah. Like he's they like talking about all this shit. Like they're going to try and make him stay and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, isn't the guy like fucking free to go? Yeah. He can just walk into the preseason draft.
Clubs sign their own warrant with that. Like Tim Kelly was a special case because he was in their team, he was in their best team, and he was one of their best players. Like fair enough, you can demand what you want for that. Yeah, you can demand what you want. Like, he was in the top 3 favourites in the betting for the Brownlow that year. Yeah. Like they haven't even Sava Radaglia has been fit at times and they haven't played him. Like you're signing your own warrant with he's a required player, but you're not playing him. Like you can play hardball or you can have grounds and you don't. But I mean, at the end of the day, most teams get the deal done with what's fairly fair anyway. Most teams know what they're going to give up, and most teams know what they're not going to give up. That's right. It's rare that it doesn't happen. It's rare that they can't meet. The only reason they can't meet is if one team doesn't have the means to meet it. That's really the only reason that it never happens. Yeah.
Hey, Crop, I've never really paid attention to the NRL draft system or anything, but do you guys have number 1 draft picks and all that sort of stuff?
No, I was going to just say that before. I just made a dot point. We don't actually have any of that at all.
I didn't think so.
So a lot of that type of thing, like the only real thing that exists is you've got like an off period and like an off season. The off season is when like each player has a manager, so to speak, who will co-inspire with the club. You know, obviously, if they're under contract, they're under contract. Although, to be honest, under contract means absolutely nothing anymore. And there's one thing that annoys me so much is in the last 3 or 4 years, I've seen so many players break contract or be released from their contract from the club because they want to go and play somewhere else because, convinced that there's other deals going on. If you're in a contract with a club, I think that you should have to honour that. Or, if you want to leave, you pay out what's remaining in your contract, what you would have received from them. So many players, it's a massive issue at the moment. This year, I didn't see it as much as I have the last couple of years, but players just break a contract to go and join other clubs, and then all of a sudden, leaving that club now, trying to fill a spot with a player that's equally as good, or it's like what's the actual point of a contract? Like, if they're just going to fucking break it before even the whole season's up, and again, I don't know. A lot of these players that are on $1 million a season, there's a couple in the NRL that are getting $1 million a season. It's like, even our best player for the Cowboys is on a $10 million deal over 10 years. I don't know how many years he's into his contract now. That would have happened. I think he's probably got 2 or 3 years left. As good as he is, this guy's a prop, a forward. I don't know any other code where a forward gets $1 million a season, and I don't know. I'd like to see more players have to work for that type of money rather than just get handed it because they came up through the ranks in under 18s. Under 18s compared to open football, open senior football is a lot different.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so many, yeah. The money
They're
side of it
talking
really
now.
ruins it.
It does. They're talking now that with this bill that's been passed in the AFL, we'll be looking at seeing our first $2 million player in the AFL
Holy
in the next couple seasons, and people are already saying it's going to be Nick Dacos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just signed a fucking 7-year deal, so...
Yeah, he's a fucking clown.
Well, that might... Those deals always seem to get, like, extended, so that might put him right in the fucking heart of it, actually. He might be...
They said,
you never know, he might be a bit of a visionary with that. He might...
Yeah.
Or, I don't know how it coincides with the TV rights deals that they've just signed.
Yeah.
But most managers are pretty savvy on that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, try and get them right where they're about to their next, especially with young blokes like him. It's like, don't think about this deal. This deal's going to be good, but your next deal is where you're going to make your money.
Yeah, that's right.
This is going to be your retirement deal. This is going to be the deal where you're setting yourself up for life. So you just concentrate on playing your footy now. Don't get injured. And
bloody hell.
we'll set that next deal right up.
If he didn't get injured this year, he would have won that Brownlow easy.
He'd have broke the record for the most votes too, I would have thought.
Yeah.
He missed 6 games and still had 28 votes, man.
Yep.
Oh.
Let's touch on the Brownlow for a second, because I'll take nothing away from him. I think he's had a fucking phenomenal season. I've admired his season, and the people that want to say he doesn't get enough hard ball, you don't watch enough footy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because it's not all about hard ball gets. I mean, there are other stats. Like, there are forwards out there that don't get enough hard ball either, but they kick fucking 60, 70 goals a year. So, I mean, I don't know which stat I'd rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go watch a little bit more footy before you just handing out Brownlows to the blokes that only get the hard ball. If Lockie Neal was faster and could kick better, he'd be an outside player, not an inside player.
Bloody oath.
You know why? Because they're more valuable.
Yep.
Because a bloke that can kick inside 50 is more valuable than a bloke that can handball to another bloke that can kick inside 50.
Yep.
It fucking blows my mind when people say about the hardball game. And good on them for being hard. Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
They play to their body for one. So the big blokes are generally the inside mids. Good on them. But the other blokes play to their skills. So it's you still have to encompass the entire game when you're handing out awards. It's not all about one thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that shits me, and I was shitty because I was riding the Bontempelli Petrarca train.
Oh.
Like, I'm a Port supporter. I didn't think Butters had a good enough year to win the Brownlow. So I didn't worry about that. I thought he would have got reasonably close, which he did. He got in top 5. Good on him. But
it's pretty good.
Petrarca and Bontempelli have been, especially Bontempelli has been good for fucking 8 years.
Yeah, I'd love
and
to see
he still
him.
hasn't won one.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the Scott West. He's gonna be that bloke who does not win one.
Yep.
Who should have won one. And it's gonna shit me because now we've got Lockie Neal, who I think is a superstar, he's a great player, but I reframed it this way today to someone. I was like, Gary Ablett, Chris Judd, Lockie Neal.
Yeah.
Dual Brownlow medal winners. Something doesn't fit here with me. That's right. There's a bit here that doesn't work for me. Like, Gary Ablett should have won 4 of them for one. Chris Judd is one of the best players that's ever picked up football in his life, and there's Lockie Neal. Gun player, don't get me wrong. Not gonna tie the other 2 blokes as bootlaces.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So, that's my rant.
What a good season.
Well,
so good. And the umpires need to give the fucking whole award thing away. Like, stop giving out the Brownlow. You're done.
Oh, some of the stats that I was reading today, when some people were getting pick threes, it's like...
Even the last game, Errol Gordon had 42 and kicked 2 and got 1 vote.
Yeah.
He had 42 and kicked 2 goals and got 1 vote. What the actual fuck?
They started their end of season a bit early, I think.
Right at the start of the season, the AFL, every year, they can pick 3 different people. I don't give a fuck who it is. Pick 3 so-called experts. You pick whoever the fuck they are. Say, this is your job for the year. You are the Brownlow panel. You are not to engage in any talk with any media outlet at all on the Brownlow. It is your job to watch every single game, give 3, 2, 1 votes for every single game. You do not engage with any media outlet until the end of the season, until the medal's done. Yeah. That is it. You are the experts. Figure it out. Analyze every game, watch every game. I don't give a fuck if you look at the stats. I don't care. Stats are part of the game. This whole don't let them look at the stats thing. Stats are the part of the game, mate. They're part of the game that you miss. I look at the stats sometimes and go, fuck, I didn't see him. But you know, he might have done something because I'm busy looking at other things.
Yeah.
Watch the game. Watch the game multiple times. Make him watch it twice. Make him watch it from multiple angles. Pick a panel, pay the fuckers, and make them make the decision.
Well, I feel like we've touched all bases on how we feel about the season that wasn't. We can only hope that next season will be a better one for all three teams, and I hope the Titans do a little bit better as well.
Yeah, I mean, there was another team that could have done something.
Yeah,
they were there for a while.
We'll finish it there, and it's been a very riveting show.
Oh, I love it. It's been a great show.
And yes, we'll stay tuned for our next episode, which is going to be an interesting one. We'll be doing our first ever beer review podcast.
I'm excited. This is going to be my favourite one.
Oh, me too.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of our favourite ones.
Yeah. Can we do it all as
well? Beer reviews every second day.
All right, boys. Thanks for jumping on.
No worries, guys.
And we'll catch you guys in a week's time.
Cheers.
Beauty.
Catches.